Welcome to Lunchbox Sociables, where we talk all things music and music related. I am by myself today, so no associate producer to help me with the lighting or the audio or whatever, so have some patience with me. After the last couple of years, I am finally getting around to doing the deep dive on the Tascam DP-24 Portastudio. I've been wanting to do it for a couple of years. I've just wanted to do such a good episode on this because I know that the episode that we did where we kind of glossed over it a bit got lots of views and people wanted to know more about it. And I just want to do a really good podcast. So I'm going to break it down into two podcasts. So the first one is going to be, part one will be just, I'm going to go over the features, the buttons mostly. There's a lot of stuff on it, and give you an idea of what what they all do. Should you be wanting to buy one or use it. And then in part two, I'm going to go more about how I use it for recording. I've been using a Tascam DP-24 for 10 years. I got my first one here in 2015, and I used it so much that I wore out a lot of the buttons, and I had to go and buy a second unit. And I've actually started to get some of the buttons are getting kind of wonky now. I might be on to my third unit soon. Okay, so I know it pretty well. And I've made 8 pages of notes, which compensates for the very thin little manual that comes along with it that I don't know who did the translating, but it leaves something to the imagination. So I use and have used the DP-24 for really 3 different types of recordings. So I will do a recording where I mix and even to some degree master, but mostly just mix all on board the DP. Then I will have a second style of recording where the drums are recorded on it and the music is recorded, all contained within the 24 tracks, but those get all exported via WAV files and then get mixed at a pro studio. And then the preferred way right now is I do all the music on the DP-24, and they get all those files get exported, and then the drums are recorded live at a studio right into Pro Tools. Okay, so there's the 3 different kind of ways, and I'm going to post some links here that you can either look at the videos on my channel or stream from whatever streaming service you use, Spotify or what have you, to listen to the songs to judge the sound quality that this unit can do. I think what I'm going to do is just add some clips, like a minute's worth of various clips, so you don't have to go, searching around for them. So I'm going to add them and so insert them right into this podcast, so you can see. Well, you don't need to see, but you can hear the audio quality. And I will put little notes on the video clip, so you know which style of recording that was, whether it was all on board the Tascam, or if it was drums recorded on the Tascam or drums recorded outside of the Tascam, mixed, how I mixed it. So I'm gonna do that to make it a little bit easier to see the different styles. Okay.
It's left to make amends before that fades to black. Something in your eyes, and I'm reduced to tears. There's a cat sitting out on the sun, working my life for what you've been working on. It's just the same old song coming
Okay, so here we are at the back of the console. You have your 8 inputs. You can use XLR, you can use 1/4 inch, you can use, like I have these 1/4 inch RCA jacks, so you have 8 inputs you can use. The 8th input you can also set for input H set for guitar or for line, so you can plug a guitar directly into electric guitar directly into that. If you want, I always have it set to line, but you can plug a guitar straight in. You have your stereo out RCA. You have unbalanced 1/4 inch jacks for your effects end, knowing that the return is going to be via one of these inputs. You have your monitor right and left out, and you have your power cable. You have your on-off switch that you have to hold for 2 seconds. You have your SD card, and you have your USB cable. And right here on the old units would have been the MIDI in and out. That's on my other unit over here, but it's not on this new unit. Okay, so now we're back and we are looking at the console. I'm going to break this down into 4 sections. The input section, the tracking fader section, the main console button section, and then the effects and EQ section. All right, so just to try and break it down, because I can't imagine getting through all these 60 or odd buttons without making a mistake, and we'll go there. All right, so my camera is set here. Let's get started. All right, so on your input section, you have phantom power, 48 volts that you can put through to 4 inputs at a time. You can put them both on, it doesn't really matter. Don't worry if you have a mixture of condenser and dynamic mics, the 48 volts won't damage your dynamic mics. There's also a LED here. If you on input H had set it to the guitar, you'd see the LED come on for a guitar, so you would know that, oh, that's set for a guitar. All right, then you have your overload LEDs across the top here. When you are using your input trim pots, you will adjust these that you get your best signal to noise in the watching the meter, and not to go into the overload. So if you see going into the red, ease back a bit. You're always going to hit red with like drums, but not too often, but once in a while you'll hit the red. Vocals, try never to have overload in your vocals, because you will hear the distortion. All right, so you'll always be adjusting. They'll always be different, different mics, always different adjustments. But the idea is to get your best signal to noise, so that when there's nothing being played, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything on the meters. Then we have our source buttons. These get used in conjunction with, like for example, the mixer section, so that you on your input you have something plugged into B. You will go and you can adjust the EQ on the input B. Keeping in mind that's forever. So unlike when you do select a track mixer, you can adjust that from time to time, on how I want to hear it differently. Whatever you set for the mixer for on the input, that's there. That won't be, once that's recorded, that can't get changed. So you want to be as frugal as possible, knowing that you try to get the sound that you're after. That's the closest you can get to the real sound that you're hearing, because you're stuck with that forever. Okay, they also can be like, they get connected to the assign. So we're going to assign B to 17, right? B, sorry. So you'll use the assign button, the source button, to whichever track that you want. And don't worry if the input is assigned to multiple tracks. I usually have, because I use a lot of input E, you can have it all over the place, but it's only the ones that are being recorded. All right, I think that's it for the input section. All right, now we're going to move on to the channel track section. This console has, it's 24 track, but really only 18 channels, because 13, 14, 15, 16, and so on are stereo tracks. That's going to play a big part in recording, because they count as 2. So even though this is a 8 input you can record up to 8 inputs. Those stereo channels count as 2. All right, so there's 18 tracks. The first thing we'll have is your mute button. If you have the mute button set, you'll see that when you press this the record button, that it goes amber, and the amber means that, okay, it's mute, and you'll be using that on playback. So if you can mute multiple tracks at the same time while you're in the playback mode. Okay. Now, when you're not in the mute mode, I have to take those off. Now, when you're not in mute mode and you're in recording mode, when you press that button, now it's arming that track. That track is now armed for, you can arm multiple tracks. That's in recording mode. And then if I was to hit the play and the record button, those would go solid and you're recording it. But right now it's just armed. Okay. Then your select button. Your select button, you'll use this in conjunction. It's kind of like the source button, but now we're just talking about just this track. So you'll want to use that in conjunction with like the mixer section. So we're go to track 4, mixer, track 8, mixer, and the effects of that track. So whenever you press this button, and for the oddest reason, these are the buttons that wear out the most for me. So I don't know why, but maybe I'm pressing those more than anything else. You would think it'd be the play button or the record button. No, it's always the select buttons that get worn out. All right, so that's them, and then you have your faders. I rarely go above 0. I'm normally always maximum 0, and then usually in the -10. And if you can bring it right down, it goes to infinity. So it's almost the same as hitting the mute button. So you can kind of sometimes you might want to hit the mute button to bring something in or out instantly, or you can use the fader to gradually bring something in or out. But those are the faders. Then you have your master fader. Again, I never go above 0 unless I'm exporting WAV files. But that's the master fader. You can select what you're going to be listening to that's going to be coming out on the stereo select, and the fader group. I never use groups, so I never group things together. So I never use that button. Okay, so I think that's that section. Okay, so we're back and we are going to do the main console section. We're going to start off with the mute button. You use this in conjunction with different tracks. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. You'll use that in playback mode. Then we have the virtual track button. I'm not going to press it because I don't go into virtual tracks. I've never used the virtual tracks. I think it's unlimited number of tracks you can record. I just don't use it because I think of this unit more like a tape machine. I record something, I listen to it, do I like it? I save it. If I don't like it, then I just re-record over it. If you give me unlimited number of tracks, that's just going to create so much anxiety. So I don't use it. It's probably quite handy for those who do use it, but it's not for me. At the very most, I might record a couple of vocal tracks and just listen. Okay, which one is better? And then I go with that one. But because I use the undo function in the punch-in section, I will show you why I don't bother with the virtual track. Okay, the mastering and mix down mastering button, I actually have underneath this little protector because if you're using punch in, auto punch in, and you hit the redo, reaching for the redo button, and you accidentally hit the mastering button, bad things happen. And you'll end up having to pull the power to get the machine back to life. It just goes into a state of frenzy. Okay, so but we'll talk about mastering in the mixing section on part 2. The undo button I do use a lot. I use it in conjunction with the auto punch. So yeah, especially for like vocals or any kind of small piece, you said, okay, I'm just gonna record that particular section. You've set your in and outs on your punches. You record. You play back and listen. You go, oh, I don't like it. All you got to do is hit the undo button, and you just re-record again. So that's what I use instead of using virtual tracks. I just listen to the track. Do I like it? Oh, I like it, or I don't like it, and I just hit redo. I'm surprised that isn't the button that's worn out on me because I do hit the undo redo button a lot. Then we have your solo button. Now you would use the solo button again in playback mode, and it's also very handy for if you've got a lot of tracks on the go and you only want to hear a couple. You want to hear, oh, are these two vocals? I use it a lot for just verifying the two vocals are in time or in key or in harmony, and I might have like one other instrument to solo back as well. That way you can kind of get rid of all the other instruments that might be making too much extra sounds. All right, so I use it. It's a pretty handy feature, the solo button. Track edit. Use this a fair amount. You can copy and paste pieces from one track to another. Where I've used it is sometimes I have to move things forward. I go, okay, I need to hold everything to move forward like 4 seconds or 4 beats or whatever, and I've used it that way. It's also very handy for inserting some silence. You go, oh, there's some noise in one section. You can insert silence into that spot. Keeping in mind, if there's a 2-second, I think it's a 2-second minimum. So you can't just go in there and just get a little blip out. You're gonna have to. It's not as simple as that. And it's also good. I use it a lot for the clean out section. So you can just clean out an entire track and say, oh, let's just start again. All right. So that's track edit. And then the bounce, I don't use the bounce feature, but if you were wanting to bounce like a number of tracks onto 2 tracks or onto 1 track, you can use the bounce feature. I don't like using bounce because I don't want any commitment. Because once you bounce tracks onto a stereo track or to wherever you bounce them to, you're committed with what you've done, and I don't like to do that. But like, that's what recording was in the 60s and the 70s of bouncing tracks. So like all that 4-track and 8-track recording of great songs, that was all bounce. Metronome I also don't use, only because I use up 1 track for like my drum machine, the click track, and I export that along with my WAV files so that when I send them to the Portastudio, they can grab the click track and all the WAV files and align everything to that click track. You can't export the metronome, and even if you say, oh, well, it's set to 120, I don't trust that it's going to be 120 at the other end. So I use up 1 track just for click, so I don't use the metronome. The locate section, pretty self-explanatory, but you can set your start and stop points for punching in, punching out. You can set your start of the song and the end of the song for when you're making mixes. You can set mark points so that okay, I'm going to put a mark point where each chorus starts or different sections to be able to just get to the marks quickly. Handy. I don't use the marks. I used to. I don't use the marks much anymore because I use the timeline feature. I can usually find my sections in the song pretty quickly, and the jump back is used in conjunction with locating those points. Auto punch I use a lot. You set your start and stop points, and when you're going to record, the first thing it'll ask you is your pre-roll, so you can listen up to 10 seconds of the music before the punch in. That's very handy. So if you're singing, you get into the groove, or you're playing the guitar, you're playing along, and then at that point, it suddenly takes over from playback to record. Okay, and then you can also set it for rehearse, and in which you can just keep rehearsing that spot. And even though there was a performance there at that particular spot, it goes empty, and now you're hearing what you're singing or playing in that spot. Where I also use it is sometimes I've made a take, and I go, I wonder if I can do it better. And so then I just hit, I'm still in the same mode, so I just hit record again, but I'm in rehearse mode. So in that spot, I try to sing it again or play that section again, and I go, oh yeah, I can do it better. Oh no, I couldn't do it any better. So I know that what's recorded is good to go. And repeat gets used in conjunction with auto punch and rehearse. So you can, if you're just wanting to go over and over and over a section, and like to work on a solo or a vocal piece, you can just hit repeat in the rehearse mode, and it'll just wrap around. It'll do the rollout. It'll do the pre-roll, and then that spot where you're rehearsing. Rewind, fast forward, stop. kind of self-explanatory. The stop and the rewind work together to bring you back to 0. Play, obviously, record. When it's armed, it'll be a flashing red, but when you're recording, solid red. So same thing with when you're using the punch in, it'll just go flashing red, and then as soon as it hits that punch in point, it'll go to solid red. Record safe button, interesting, that until this, I started playing this podcast, I had never even noticed that button. I had never seen that button. I go, oh yeah, record safe. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's probably self-explanatory that you press that button and you can't get it's record safe, so you can't get into record mode to accidentally record something. I'm not sure. But interesting enough, on the old unit that has the CD player in it, that's the button for CD. So they said, okay, well, it's the same frame. What are we going to put in here since we don't have a CD? So they made some little extra circuitry and brought in the record safe button. And I had never noticed they had changed it from the CD to record safe, because I have the older unit that has the CD and the MIDI. Your monitor level for adjusting your headphones or whatever is going out to the stereo out to playback, and what you want to listen to, whether it be the stereo track, the bounce, or the effects 1 and 2. So I think I got through that section relatively okay, I hope. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. Okay, we're coming up to the last section here, the EQ effects section, the display, and a few master buttons, the jog wheel. A few good things here. The EQ is pretty self-explanatory. When you go into a track, a mixer, you have a 3-band EQ, the high, the mid with a Q, so you can make your wave shape. How wide do you want it to be? Do you want to narrow it to a specific frequency or widen it? And I'm going to talk about that more in part 2. And then you can just turn, for a particular track, you can just turn the EQ off. Okay, so that's kind of self-explanatory. Your effects ends for effect 1 and 2, you saw the outputs on the back, and they would get fed back into to inputs. The master send for the effects, panning, left and right, pretty self-explanatory. You got your navigation buttons that you're going to use a lot to go back and forth to find things. The jog wheel, I have found, a little tip here, I have found that it's kind of slow when you have it in the timeline. So in the timeline mode, you'll see the song, what can I just forward a little bit? And can we just play it? Okay, so you're seeing a song here. So in the timeline mode, you can see the tracks are going. In the timeline mode, it kind of moves kind of slow, but if you turn it to the meter mode, it's really quick to move along. And then this is where I was explaining, I know where my choruses are and I know where my verses are, because I can see where I had put singing or instruments and such. So I do like using the timeline mode as opposed to the meter mode, depending on what I'm doing. Now I always use the meter mode for watching for recording and watching the signal, but on playback I'm usually using the timeline mode. But the jog wheel I just find a little bit quicker. It moves along. Now the jog play, should I save that for part 2? I wonder if I should save that for part 2. Well, we'll just we'll take a look at a waveform. So in jog play, you can see your waveform, and you can use the buttons here to make that waveform larger or smaller. But the jog play is really good. For example, I don't know if it's going to go, yeah, I think we're going to be able to see this okay. You want to pick a spot like, right there is where I want to put my punch in, because I can see in the wave file, that's the spot where 8 was a guitar. So I know that right there, that would be a spot to put a punch in or a punch out type of thing. So the jog play gets used a lot. There's a couple of, I'll have to try and remember by part 2, where you can get a little bit dangerous hitting that jog play when you're doing punching and outs. Okay, I think that's it, right? We have these buttons here. We already talked about the assign button, the mixer. We've talked about dynamics. As there are 4 different dynamics, there is a compressor, a noise suppressor, de-esser, which I've never used, exciter, which I've never used. I usually use the compressor, and again, use it kind of frugally. Don't go overboard on the compressor. And you can only select 2 of these to be used on your inputs. You can't put a compressor on all 8 inputs. You can only maximum of 2. Effects. Because I record and export and put everything, and mix everything outside of this box, I don't play too much with the reverb, but there's a lot more that you can do in this section. There's a library of different sounds. You can set the reverb style. You can set the different guitar sounds. I usually just use a couple of stock sounds just because I just want to get a feel. At some point later, it'll get mixed properly. The menu section. In the menu section, this is where you will create and save. I can just hit the button. So instead of ordering, so now you can see your list of your songs. You can have it set for the size of the song, or it's going to be a 16-bit or 24-bit, 44 or 48K. You can see it there, 48K bit. The date it was created. Let's go back to home. The audio depot, you'll use that for bringing in, if you are importing files into your song, you'll use the audio depot. Quite often, if I've recorded drums outside and I bring them in, I use the audio depot. It's in the user guide is very, I don't know if they even mention it, but the audio depot is where you can import your WAV files. So they have to be in the same format as your song. So if you're working with other people and you say, okay, my song, I'm working 24-bit, 48K, you got to make sure that that's they're recording at that, so that when you import, it'll match up. Your information, that's been a while since I've hit that. Let's see what's in there. Basically all the stuff about your song. Okay, let's get back out of that. Tuner, USB, you're going to hit the USB if you are wanting to connect to your PC to do a backup of your song or a backup of a mix, so the USB gets used. Format, there's a quick and a full format of your SD card. And your preference, it's been a while since I've hit that. What is that, preference? So you can set different settings for your punch in, for your foot switch. This unit doesn't. This unit has the foot switch plug, but it does. I never got a foot switch, and your phone's jack. All right, so there's a few settings you can make on that in the preference. I'll get back out one more. Was there anything else? No, that was it. And then the home key. So you're always hitting the home key to get back home. And then there actually, because it's black on black, there are these 4 buttons here. So depending on what you're selecting, it'll line up. You'll see the little what you're like. This button now is for timeline. Oh, you want to save it? This button. So depending on what you're doing, you'll have things in the display that line up with the 4 buttons across the bottom. Did I do it? I think I did it. All right. I'm going to look at my notes and see if I missed anything else to finish off this part 1. Woo. Okay, so that is the Tascam DP-24 Portastudio. I hope that you've got something out of my explanation of the Portastudio. This was part 1. We were just talking about the features and the knobs and the what's built in. And in part 2, I'm going to do a little deeper dive into how I use it. And thank you very much for watching this podcast. All right, bye-bye.